All right, today, everybody, we're going to be starting our final review. This is going to be a no calculator portion of the test. There's 8 questions. We're going to go over these 8 questions. You will see questions like this on the final. So we're going to go ahead and start with number 1. We're going to zoom in. Whoa, that's too close. That's good. Okay? Now, whenever you are adding matrices together, they have to be the exact same, fill in the blank, done. The exact same dimensions. All right? By the way, what are the dimensions of this matrix? 2 by 4. And this is also another 2 by 4. Now, whenever you're adding this, what you're going to have to do is add the elements that match up. So I'm only going to highlight the top row, okay? So by the way, this 9 is an element within the matrix, all right? What's its location? If I said, what's the location of this element? You would say, it's in the first row and the first column. Where is the -8 located? That's in the second row, but the third column, all right? So you got to kind of know where the location of each element is. Now, since we are allowed to add these together because they're the exact same dimensions, now we're just going to take the 9 and add it to the -6, and what is that going to yield us? There we go. All right. Then we're going to take the -6 and add it to the 3. What's that going to give us? -3. Got a tough one here. We got a 10 and a 0. All right. And we got a 1 and an 11. That gives us a 12. So hopefully you guys can see that you're just adding the same elements, and it's pretty easy. You're going to have one like that. You're going to have an easy, no calculator, just add the elements together. What's the bottom row going to be? 11. -3. -8 and a 12 is it's going to be a 4. And we've got a 0 and a 5, which makes a 5. So this would be your final answer for number 1. All right, moving on to number 2. What's it asking us to do? It's asking us to take this matrix, which is a 3 by 2, and it's asking us to subtract a 3 by 3. Now, if you try to do this, that would be incredible if you're able to do this, because this is impossible. Because what do we know about operations with matrices? They have to have the exact same dimensions if you're going to add them or subtract them. Okay? All right, on to problem number 3. Scrolling down, we've got a scalar, and then we have to subtract. So right here, this 9, everybody, and this 6 right here, those are referred to as scalars. Now, there's more than one way to do this. I'll show you what I like to do, and if you like it, you can do it this way. What I like to do is I like to scale. If that's a 9, I scale everything up by 9. So I've got a -9, got a 27, got a 63, there we go, and an 18. And this is actually being scaled up by 6. But what are we eventually going to have to do anyways? We're going to have to subtract these, right? So what I like to do is I like to just multiply everything by a -6 and just put plus. So I'm going to do -6 times 4 and get a -24. -6 times 5 gets me a -30. -6 times -8 gets me a +48. And -6 times 1 is a -6. So what I like to do is I like to scale everything up. If there's a negative, I kind of multiply that negative into it, so I don't have to do it twice. Now, at this point, you are going to once again do what? Add the elements together that are in the exact same position. So let's add these together. I've got negative 9 and negative 24. Now, if you're not sure how to add integers together, think of money. Think if you owed somebody $9 and then you borrowed 24 more. Now you owe them a total of $33. Here, if you had $27 in your bank account, but then you spent $30, that's not good. Now you are in the negative, and you'll get an overdraft charge, which is not good. All right. But then you have $63. Ooh, and you got $48 more dollars. Now you're at $111. Here you have $18, and you spend $6. Now you're down to $12. So if you're struggling with integers, maybe apply the concept of money. That kind of helped me when I try to make it into a real situation of positives and negatives. All right, here we go. Question number 4. All right, we're going to use this scalar, and this scalar. All right, so we've got to scale all of these 3x1 matrices, okay, and then we'll add them together. So what's the first column, or this first 3x1 scaled up? 4 times 0 is 0. Then we have a negative 20. Then a 12. Then we'll put plus. What am I going to scale this one up by, everybody? Scale it up by 3. So what's that going to give me? 27.
6.
And
Negative 3.
Negative 3. All right. Now this one, everybody notice. What do I do? I'm going to take a negative 6 and multiply the negative 6 into all of those. So that's going to become a positive 6. Yep, negative 18. Negative 42. All right? Now, at this point, everybody, we have to take, and we're taking this one, and this one, and this one, and adding those all together. Then I'm taking the second row, adding them all together, and then finally the third row and adding them all together. All right? So just think of money. You got $27, you get 6 more bucks. That's 33. This one's a little trickier. That says negative 20, right? And a negative 18. So think of it as you got, you're negative 38, but then you paid back 6. So now you're at a negative 32. Then over here, you have what? You have a negative 3 and a negative 42. So that puts you at a negative 45, but then you pay back $12, and that gets you back to a negative 33. All right. So hey, by the way, everybody, when I look at these, what I do, when I have a negative and a positive, I always just subtract them. See how I just subtract these real quick? 5 minus 2 is 3, 4 minus 1 is 3, 8 minus 6 is 2, 3 minus 0. But then what do? I look for what do I have the most of? If I have the most negatives, then I apply the negative next to it. If I have more positives, then obviously I keep it positive. This is your answer for number 4. Number 5. This is going to be the hardest one that you get on your non-calculator portion. This is a 2 by 2 being multiplied to a 2 by 3. So horrible. There we go. So 3 only a mother. All right. Now these match, right? These match. That means this is what I'm going to get. I'm going to get another 2 by 3. So yes, I can multiply these together, everybody, but my final result will equal another 2 by 3. So we're going to set this up. You're going to notice that I'm going to highlight the numbers in the rows in blue. I'm going to highlight the numbers in the columns in red. Now I'm going to set things up. Here we go. I'm going to start with the 2. I'm going to multiply that 2 times the 3. First number times the first number. Plus the second number times the second number in the column. So the second number in the row times the second number in the column. Over here I'm going to do 2 times negative 4 plus 1 times 7. So 2 times negative 4 plus 1 times 7. And last, hopefully you see the pattern now, it's 2 times negative 9 plus 1 times 10. Alright? So you see how the 2 and the 1 stayed the same throughout that whole first row? And the only numbers that changed were the numbers that were in the columns. Well, what am I allowed to do now to make things a lot easier on me? Bring down the numbers that are in the columns. So there I go. I'm just going to bring these numbers down. I'm going to bring a 3 down here, an 8, negative 4, a 7, negative 9, and 10. What numbers are going to be changing? The numbers that are in the second row. So instead of a 2 and a 1, I'm going to put a negative 3 and a negative 6. Negative 3 and a negative 6, negative 3, negative 6. Don't forget to put the little plus. All right. So now you have everything set up. By the way, you're going to have on your final, you're going to have a 2 by 2 that's being multiplied to a 2 by 3. Just the numbers are going to be changed. So how we set this up right here is going to be exactly how you're going to be able to set yours up on your final. All right, so now we're going to do the non-calculator portion, right? All right, we got 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 1 times 8, which is 8. So what's our first element going to be? Our first element is going to be a 14. Here we have a negative 8 and a 7. We add those together, we get a negative 1. Here we have a negative 18 and a 10. We add those together, we get negative 8. Here we've got a negative 9 plus a negative 48. You add those together, that becomes a negative 57. Here you've got a 12 plus a negative 42. That gets me to a negative 30. And here you have a 27 and you have a negative 60. And that's going to get me a negative 33. All right? So that's where, if students are going to make a mistake, that's probably going to be where they mess up. They might mess up a little on the adding. All right, a little math there. But by the way, yes, I'm going to be very kind in grading these. If you miss one element, I'm not going to mark the whole thing wrong. I'll just mark a 6th wrong. All right? No. There's only 6 elements, so it'll be a 6. All right, now we're going to scroll down. Ooh, this will be the easiest. I think this will be the easiest problem on the whole non-calculator portion. By the way, this symbol right here lets you know you need to find what's known as a determinant. That's not a very good hand. Come on, what do we got? All right, so this is we're going to be finding a 2 by 2 determinant. And there's a formula for the 2 by 2 determinant. That formula is, everybody, A times B, not B. A times D minus B times C. So label this A, B, C, and D. A times D minus B times C. So we're going to take the product of A times D. The product of A times D is a negative 50. Very important that you put a minus sign. Minus the product of B and C, which is a negative 42. This is why I put things in parentheses to help me see that you have a negative and a negative, which changes that to a positive. You have negative 50 plus 42, which is a negative 8. And that's your answer. Whoa. All right, the next video I'm going to do is going to be over 7 and 8. That'll take a little bit longer.